Despite all the roles you've played, you seem to wind up in many Western roles. Is there a reason for that? Do you prefer them?
I wish, actually, there were more of them. Well, I've got, I own 14 horses, and I'm really dedicated to them. And some of them are trained specifically for working in movies. And I'd really like to do more Westerns, but it's hard to get a Western finance these days.
There are some advantages and disadvantages about the age you're in. You were able to successfully work in both television and film, something which wasn't really available to earlier actors. However, there's a disadvantage. There aren't so many Westerns. When you started out in TV, though, it was dominated by Westerns.
Yeah, I guess so. If you talk about when I started out, I think the first thing I did was a wagon train, and then I did a Virginian. I've never done anything like as many Westerns as I would have liked to do. But there's a fiction in the industry that people don't want to watch Westerns. And I don't think it's true, because they go all over, and everybody seems to wish there were more Westerns. I think it's a question of they're not promoting them correctly, or maybe even that they're not making them correctly. At the time when Westerns were the king, when they made more Westerns than anything else, they were made very cheaply, and they were made quickly, and a lot of them. And nowadays what they do is every once in a while they make a $30–40 million Western, and they're surprised when it doesn't make money for them. I don't think that's the way to go at it.
Make more cheaply, more quickly?
Well, I think there has to be a bid of the cheap Westerns. Quick, inexpensive, let's say, instead of cheap. It's a bad word. To support the expensive ones. It's like there's always a bed of cheap science fiction movies, and then there's a few that really come up there. There's a bed of cheap gangster movies, or cheap cop movies, and then there are a few that surface up. But I don't see how those ones can surface up without having that foundation of the bread and butter, which the studios don't seem to have an interest in anymore.
But there seem to be more and more vehicles for the particular stars. The particular stars determine what film's going to be made. And if you haven't got someone who is perceived as a cowboy, maybe the cowboy is going to be out.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's possible that basically your children, who seem to be the big audience, don't really care about the cowboy so much. Maybe they don't care about the horse. More interested in motorcycles and, Camaros that blow up and stuff like that. But I'm not sure that's true. I basically think that it is it's a mistake that the industry's making in their approach to things. You remember when the pirate movie was a big thing?
Sure.
And recently we've had a couple of pirate movies, and none of them have worked very well. But if you look at them, you can understand why. They don't have the attitude. But on the other hand, like Clint Eastwood has done pretty good with his Westerns. And everybody's always telling him he's stupid to make them, but he makes them, and they definitely do okay. Maybe they don't go through the ceiling, but they definitely do all right.
But it's been a while since he's really done a Western, since the Dino De Laurentiis spaghetti Westerns we're talking about, no?
No, Pale Rider.
Oh, yeah.
Only about, 5 years ago?
Sure.
Something like that.
True.
And, but he's also an example of why it doesn't work. It works because he's in it, let's say. But they're slow, they're very psychological, they're very dark. They're not happy. And I think that's a lot of what has, I mean, Western ought to be fun. Really ought to, you know. And I think the guy ought to talk to his horse.
Yeah.
They don't seem to do that anymore.
Another time we were talking about the Long Riders. That was a film you did with, a lot of your brothers, the Keach brothers,
Yeah.
as well as some others, I guess.
The Quaids, the Guests. Carradine's, Keach's, the Quaids, and the Guests. That was about it. James Whitmore Jr. And we had thought about having the Pinkertons be brothers, because they were, but we didn't do that.
Did you have a lot of fun working on that film?
Nothing but fun. 3.5 months of riding our horses, shooting off guns, hanging out with the brothers and getting drunk. That was what it was.
You wore the same hat, I understand, from what I've read, that you wore in the Kung Fu series for the Long Riders. Is that true?
I hate to...
Burst my bubble?
Yeah, but that was a lie I told. When I did the remake of Kung Fu in 1985, I used the Long Rider's hat because it was kind of close. And I didn't have the original Kung Fu hat. And it seemed a good idea to tell everybody that I did have it. So I just used the Long Rider's hat, but it's not really true.
That Kung Fu remake you're talking about, you approached, was it the Warner Brothers people in 1979, but they weren't receptive to making it. Was it because it was a Western, or was it because it was a sequel, in a sense?
Well, they thought it was a Western. I never thought it was a Western. But that's the way they saw it. Just, I guess all that means is that it happens in 1880. But, well, you know, he never gets on a horse, right? He doesn't do any fast draws. He spouts Chinese philosophy. How can he call that a Western? But, no, I originally approached them, I'm not sure about the dates, but I approached them, and they did like the idea, and they I collaborated with them in producing a screenplay for the big screen. We were going to make a very large picture, which we were going to shoot partially in China. And then it kind of foundered. But once Warner Brothers has put that much money into a project, they don't like to let it go. So it was possible to salvage a 2-hour movie a week out of it. And we had to rewrite the script, make it suitable for television, and pull down the budget and everything. We obviously couldn't go to China. But we're going to do another one next year, which we are going to shoot in China if they ever quiet down over there. And I think probably every few years do another one of these.
In the second one, the Kung Fu sequel, you played a slightly older Chiang Kai-Caine. Well, first of all, let me ask you, is Caine actually...
Kwai Chang Caine.
Wow.
Okay?
Okay, thanks.
All right.
I always read right to left instead of left to right. With it.
Yes.
Is Caine not a version of Carradine, really? You just take out the R-R-A-D. Just look at it. Caine, Carradine.
No, he's a version of the first murderer. Many years ago, somebody asked me if I was going to do a TV series, what would I like it to be? And I said, I'd like it to be Cain, having killed his brother Abel, wandering through the wilderness to the east of Eden and running into things with a mark on him of some kind. It's the Bible, right? And the guy said, I'm talking about a commercial television series. I said, so am I. And then, kind of miraculously, because I can't say it was connected really. People weren't connected, but what I had asked for came to me. And I think the name Cain is there because, you know, he's the murderer.
Oh, yes.
It begins with him murdering the emperor's nephew.
Defending his teacher.
Well, he's not defending him because the teacher's already been killed. He's revenging him, which is one thing he was not supposed to do. He's violating his teaching by doing that.